A little impromptu. I got some mushroom cultivation going on today. I busted out a bunch of petri dishes with mycelium. These are pretty old, but they look fine. And they gotta go somewhere. So I got a bunch of lion's mane here I can plow through. I also got some blue oyster mushroom varieties. Been doing a lot of cleaning and organizing, so everything's kind of flipped or whatever, but temporary. I do have oyster mushrooms that are fruiting, so I can bring those out. I'll have to fire up my little sterilizer. I got my impulse heat sealer here. I'll need to grab the hammer and open up the pressure steam sterilizer. We'll see if the lights stay on. Like, lots of excitement here. First things first, let me do a preliminary clean of my hands. I threw the rye grain berries in, 15 PSI, 90 minutes last night. And then they cooled. So I'm doing some dancing with time. I'm going out of town, but what I want to do is I want to get rye grain berries all set up. Set when I get back. I will do a break and shake. Then wait about 3 days, put them in some bulk substrate, and we'll get a good fruit going. So excited there. CO2 levels are on point. Humidity levels on point. Lighting, I'm doing well. All things are pointing in the right direction. I'm looking forward to getting some lion's mane going because I feel as though that is the canary in the coal mine of mushrooms. The lion's mane will indicate whether or not I am doing anything correctly. There we go. So, excellent. So like I said, I got 5 lion's mane petri dishes here. I've got 2 blue oyster mushroom ones. These look pretty nice. I just washed my hands. That is robust. That is thick. So these look pretty good. The lion's mane, they've been sitting in the fridge for quite some time. Like I said, I got a fruiting bag of oyster mushrooms that I can bring out a little bit. I've got my laminar flow hood going. I need to plug some stuff in. I think I have about 5 bags of rye grain berries. I'm going to be pretty generous with the mycelium because I've got a ton of it. So, hello. And what I've seen people doing actually is they'll take a plate of mycelium. So this is blue oyster mushrooms, and it's mycelium. So I'll cut it into fourths. I'll throw it into a bag of rye grain berries, and we'll get this party started. So this is what I'm doing right now is I'm making bulk substrate. So pardon me if I'm not, make sure I'm not having a wardrobe malfunction here. Okay. Thank you. It's getting a little out there. I am going out of town, so maybe I should get a trim one more time. So I have a pressure steam sterilizer, but I let it cool overnight. So I take the mallet, give it a little love. Barely, didn't even need it that time. And, oh crud. Hold on, just making some space for myself. Whoa. So, yeah, I bought this giant tent. Oh gosh, what in the heck? I'll be right there. Oh man. All right, that works. I don't want to bend the cord on the sterilizer. Okay, so lots of hand sanitizing. So here's the rye grain berries. We did 15 psi for 90 minutes last night. Okay. And I will be throwing Mycelium. I've got a bunch of lion's mane here I want to get going. I got some blue oyster mushrooms. So I'm also going to plug in, there we go, this guy. This is the Impulse heat sealer that'll seal the bags up when I'm done doing this. I find that rye grain berries, when you move the rye grain berries to bulk substrate, they can go a lot farther than you think. So a bag like this, my intention was to have 5-pound bags, but these are pretty dainty. But even these, I mean, this guy right here, this will do, I'm guessing maybe about 15, or it should, bulk substrate bags. Right, so again, I got lion's mane here, I got blue oyster mushrooms. Here, let me show you one of my fruiting bag here. CO2 is on point. CO2 is doing well. That was probably one of the biggest hurdles that I've overcome. So these are blue oyster mushrooms. And so got kind of an interesting second bushel going on there. That's a lot of pins. So some of them will die off. It's looking kind of blue. It's got a good pigment. But this guy's got some ideal circumstances. This bag is interesting. So this was done a little while ago. So yep, so these are the blue oyster mushrooms. We will be doing a part of this process. So, and this is master's mix substrate that those are growing out of right now. Master's mix substrate. So we're going to take these rye grain berries. They go back down like this. We're going to do the rye grain berries. And then, you know, with something like blue oyster mushrooms, it would be about, you know, a week and a half. Break and shake. 3 days after a break and shake, it's nice and colonized. They would be kind of white bricks. I then transfer it into bulk substrate bags. So, okay, well, good as time as any. Let me plug in the infrared stinger here. So of all the equipment that I get nervous about, it's this guy. It's not his fault, but it gets pretty cooking hot. So I'm gonna turn it on low just to get it started. And it doesn't take much. I got a little, what do you call that, a scalpel? So laminar flow hood's going. So do I only have 4? I guess I only did 4, so. I might do 3 lion's mane and then a blue oyster mushroom. And see how it goes. So. The farm is really on it's right there. I got it. You know, I think, like I said, the CO2's dialed in. The humidity's dialed in. I got a new humidifier that I just built that I'm going to be switching over to. I got the 10 by 10 tent. So I think things are looking up. Things are looking up. I might buy more mycelium. You know, I'll buy 1 petri dish and then I'll make 15 or so others. Oh man. Let's see if this thing's on. It is on. All right, what am I? What am I lollygagging around for? I'm waiting for this thing to warm up a little bit. Okay. Get this thing. Feel a little out of sorts. So it still looks great, you know, no contamination. I would say this Petri dish has been in the refrigerator for quite some time. Not a lot of water, what do you call, precipitation in there. For some reason with the blue oyster, I'll get like a puddle going. So that still looks pretty good. So I don't see why it wouldn't work. But in time, I would like to build a culture bank. Boy, I have another lookalike. All right, so I get the Stargate guy. I get the scientist from Stargate. When I was a younger man, I would get Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. So I don't know if that was a good thing, because he was a bit of a wild man. All right. Well, welcome. Here we go. What am I doing? Okay, so this thing's warmed up. Like I said, kinda. Actually, I'm gonna crank it up to 2. Get it cooking. And then kind of incrementally sterilize my scalpel. I'll wash my hands one more time. I always think I'm touching something. Don't really have too much of a I don't have a lot of contamination issues. I buy enough crap to stop that. So, oh, wow, okay. This thing should be cooking by now. No, I'm not feeling it. I almost should get red in there. It takes forever to heat up, and then it becomes a hazard. No, pretty decent weekend. I'm hoping to start my mushroom farm tours soon. I've set a new goal for farmers market and or co-op Halloween. So, see, I already smell something heating up. See if it's. Let's see. I don't want to just put it in there, because by the time I take it out, it'll be scorching. So we'll just hold for a second. Yeah, I only got 4 bags of rye grain berries, but this will be good. I'll get them inoculated. I'll put them in the incubation chamber, and then by the time, right before I leave, maybe when I get back, I'll do a break and shake. 3 days after a break and shake, I'll move the rye grain berries to bulk substrate. Bulk substrate, maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. Move them into the fruiting tent. I got lion's mane and blue oyster mushrooms. So, God, it smells like it's hot, but it's not yet. So I'm just waiting to sterilize my scalpel here so I can move the, where did I put the one petri dish? Is this it? Must be. It seems odd. So I can move the lion's mane, mycelium into rye grain berry bags. All right, I think it's getting warmer. Yeah, like I said, once it gets hot though, it'll be brutal. So, yeah, this will be a big trip. Summer's over in Alaska. Is what it is. I didn't realize how much room in the refrigerator my mycelium was taking up. I kind of feel bad, but I'll move it over. I might convert a freezer into a refrigerator, turn it into a culture bank box, and that way I can stay out of the way of everybody. Okay, so it's getting there. Ah, it's getting warm. In time. In time. Oh. Yeah, feels like a lot happened this week. But yeah, mostly cleaning. I spent all summer building my garage farm. Played a little softball. I'm looking forward to winter, actually. That way I can justify hanging out in my garage. All right, oh, look at it now. Oh, that thing's piping hot. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it down. In fact, I might just turn it off. Easily one of the more spooky pieces of equipment. Oh shit, pardon my French. Let's go, here we go. Almost just pierced the bag. So just for kind of kicks, oh, see, it's scalding. All right, so I got this little setup here. I was anticipating this. Okay, that thing is off, still hot. All right, so what do I got here? I got rye grain berries. This is the bulk substrate. I'm going to move these. Everything's been pre-cleaned. All right, I've got lion's mane mycelium, okay? Now, I used to cut it into little wedges. I would get all dainty with it. Now, I'm taking entire plates, quartering them out, throwing them in a bag, impulse heat sealing, then breaking them up when they are in the bag. I can make tons of these, and that's usually what I do. So I'll buy from a distributor 1 Petri dish. I'll turn it into 20, and then I'm going to town for quite some time. This lion's mane, I think this thing's been in the fridge. I think it's been there for 2 or 3 months, so maybe longer. I can't recall. I did not date it. So, all right, so this thing's nice and clean. I'll try not to breathe on it. I do have the, all right, not seeing any discoloration. Looks a little clear there. I am just gonna go, I'm gonna quarter it out. Lion's mane mycelium, you can cut pretty easy. Something like reishi is actually quite durable. I'm gonna go around the edges here. Again, I don't wanna poison it. I'm on call at work. I hope I don't get a jingle mid mycelial transfer. Okay, here we go. Oh, I touched the inside of the bag a little bit. That is a faux pas. None of us are perfect though. So like I said, I used to cut these up in a lot smaller. I know. Can't see anything. I'm just throwing it in. Yeah. Oh, schnicks. Okay. Yeah, easy breezy. Quick and painless. Give this guy a little bit more of a sterilize. Not too long though. I'm throwing out the entire Petri dish. Roommates need the fridge. All right, there we go, just a little bit longer. Now, in fact, screw that. I'm going straight for the bag. Now, when I'm breaking it up, sometimes I get a little bit of a suction. So, pardon, what I've seen work, and I haven't done it yet, is if I can get a little bit of air in the bag, before I lock her down, but I just never really get the hang of it, you know? I mean, it's like, all right, so that's pretty good. So I think I got the air in there, and then now I'll put it down. That light should cut out. There we go. It's a nice crisp seal. Okay. So now I got the lion's mane mycelium quarters in there. Lovely. I'll mix them up. This isn't too big, but also I'm kind of going to break up the wedges, and that's why I used to cut them up into small ones right out of the get-go because I thought this was aggressive. But I find once they're in there, then you can kind of just break them up a little bit. They might be stronger than I thought. Right, and so that's a good mix, right? So if the bag gets kind of suctioned in, you're like kind of like kneading it like a bag of wet sand. But this, yeah, the grains move freely. I'm not too concerned about the mycelium growing uniformly with this. They usually work out pretty good with when they go to bulks, when I go to the master's mix, I get a little bit more, it'll grow kind of on the top. So I'm working on maybe mixing better. I'm breaking my heart. So I'm gonna throw down there. Once it's sealed, I'm fairly confident with how that the contamination period has subsided. So next, the other thing is label the bags. Label the bags, type of mushroom, date. Otherwise, you get lost. A big thing about mushroom cultivation and the scale that I'm trying to get to, I'm still fairly I'm an amateur, but where I'm going, workflow, right? You're gonna have just everything at different stages, and it helps to have a giant calendar, and it helps to label and date. Okay, so off we go. I don't have contamination issues for a reason. I am methodical. Okay. Me and rubbing alcohol. Okay. So, I've got parafilm on these. Like I said, look at this one's pretty old. Even some of the mushroom has kind of decided to grow outside of the Petri dish. But again, I'm not seeing really any contamination despite hanging out in the fridge for an extended period of time. This is a go. Not a lot of condensation either. For some reason, I'm only getting the condensation on blue oyster mushroom mycelium. All right, so I will sterilize this guy. I think this is still warm. Yes, it is. So we'll just kind of give him a little bit of give him some love, and I will throw the lion's mane mycelium quartered into the thing. All right, so this might be, so this is what I do. I overcook it. Is it? Okay, it's fine. And then once it hits the, So without breathing on it, let me just, again, I kind of like lion's mane mycelium. It's not as cloudy, like puffy as the blue oyster mushrooms, nor is it as like ridiculously strong as the reishi. Reishi mycelium is insane. It's got alien-like qualities to it, and it's like the bamboo. So essentially, I will be throwing mycelium wedges into this bag of rye cranberries. Watch now as I dispose of. Again, I'm going to try to trap some air in here a little bit before I like that. I like that a lot. Give that a seal. Got it cooked pretty hot, so as soon as the light goes out, I take it off. See, that almost sears it off, but I like me a good bag seal. Like me a good seal. So I'm gonna break up the mycelium wedges when they're in there. Do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. Test the seal. So this is bulk substrate here. I got rye cranberries. I just threw some lion's mane, mycelium in there. Come on now. All right, plenty good. I'm gonna move this over now that it's sealed up. If there's anybody new, I can show you my fruiting oyster mushrooms real quick. Take a break. Lord knows I Look at that. Look at that bushel, man. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, yeah, this guy's doing pretty decent. So we'll see if the pigment holds. I've got the lighting right. CO2's holding. And the humidity's spot on. So that is blue oyster mushrooms. I will be doing a bag of rye cranberries. I mean, oh yes, I will be throwing some blue oyster mushroom. Oh yeah, all right. Okay. Golly. Tired all the time. Work all week. Always in the garage. Man, all alive. But I really want to get this done. Like I said, I am going out of town for a couple of days. Hopefully to do a mushroom farm tour if they get back to me. Well, they've gotten back to me once, but then I've reconnected. I said, are we still on? So if I get the second green light here, you can expect to see, I'm going to make hopefully some content about it, maybe a long form farm tour, like a legit one. Not that there's anything wrong with my garage, but this will be a heads up. And then I just have some questions. You know, there's just it's the small details of mushroom cultivation that get you. So one of those small details is when you add gypsum to the rye cranberries. Don't overdo it. I used to eyeball it, and that was a bad idea. So here we are. Shall we do one more lion's mane, and then we'll do a blue oyster? I'm really throwing a lot of my chips at the lion's mane right now. It is one of the more peculiar ones. I had a lot of luck early on before I got all these gizmos and gadgets. And then once I started getting more and trying to grow more mushrooms, they started having issues. So it is, lion's mane is the canary in the coal mine of mushrooms on the farm. If the lion's mane is angry, they're the first one to get pissed. So, like I said, I had some real, I must have gotten fortunate because right out of the gate, I was having some just gorgeous lion's mane flushes. Then it all went to hell. So, but now that I'm in the new tent, now that I got the CO2 dialed in, humidity, new lighting, I think we're gonna make another pass here. So we'll do one more lion's mane. So the refrigerator definitely does its job when it comes to slowing growth down. So I'll put that, you know what I mean? There you go. So that is lion's mane, mycelium. You know, I made it tried to grow out of it. Not a big deal. Okay, whatever. Let's do this. I'm going to cut it into quarters. Okay. Lion's mane mycelium goes easy. Almost too easy. There. Try to work around the edges. Make kind of a... Don't breathe on it, Kyle. Your nose. All right, we got my bag of rye grain berries here. We're gonna be throwing in this guy. All right, party. I think that's just so much easier than cutting tiny little wedges. All right, I'm gonna try to trap some air. It's nice though sometimes, even though the mushroom farm can be tedious, it is a way to get out of the fray of life. The garage has become my sanctuary. And so the only thing about taking the shortcut with the mycelium wedges is, again, you kind of want to break them up a little bit once they're in the bag. Is that my hand dripping on me, I hope, or we'll find out. All right, sealed up, ready to rock. We'll do one blue oyster mushroom, and I'll bring out. Let me show you my blue oyster. Let me show you the ones that are fruiting real fast. Check these out. Here I'm coming. All right. All right. So you got a nice cluster formation there. That's good. Since I fixed the CO2, they don't get too leggy. Since I got lighting corrected, they maintain their pigment. And with the humidity levels, well, humidity is pretty much just life itself for these guys. They can't, so. All right, huge process. Golly gee. Turn that on, cook up one more time. So I'm gonna do a blue oyster mushroom. One blue oyster mushroom. So again, the timeline is I will inoculate the bag with the mycelium wedges. It will take about 8 days for it to look fully colonized. I'll do a break and shake. 3 days after that, about 2 weeks total. It will then be fully colonized. I'll then take this bag of white colonized rye grain berries. I will then sprinkle it into bulk substrate master's mix. 2 weeks in there, especially with the blue oyster mushrooms. 2 weeks with the master's mix, ready to rock. I'll take it out of the incubation chambers, throw it into the fruiting tent. And that is what I've been working for. Growing mushrooms is easy, but to do it on scale and not lose your mind can be a little bit cumbersome. Then here's the thing, I have yet to make a sale. So this is all pro bono, but I enjoy my garage. I think I'm at an age where I'm supposed to hang out in the garage more. Okay, it's that time of life, you know, I gotta. People are like, it looks like it might be time for you to go to the garage. I say yes. Yes, it is. All right, so blue oyster mushrooms here. Nice, fluffy mycelium. Mountainous even. Reishi mycelium. Dense. How would you even say it looks artistic. It's uniform. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, is there more? There is. So I put a bunch of parafilm around the edges of this. And so really my strategy with a lot of, so here I'll try to show it to you if you can see. And you see that condensation? I've only been getting that with blue oyster mushrooms. So I don't know what I did. It's not a big deal. Let's crack this puppy open. So this is warmed up again. Let me. Oh my gosh, that's piping. All right, let's give it a quick beat. Yeah, long weekend. Heavy week. So maybe it will be nice to get out of town, listen to some music, maybe do my mushroom farm tour, come back, have everything ready to go, break and shake, move it in. I'm selling at the farmer's market, at the food co-op, Halloween. That is the goal. Alaska has some of the most lenient grow at your own, farm to table laws in the country. All right, it's almost borderline. Look at all that water. That's just insane. All right, not a big deal though. Not a big deal. No contamination. Massive amounts of mycelium growing on this thing. Massive. Fluffy. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm gonna work the edges. I can't tell you how long the mycelium has been. It's just kind of almost like a, I don't know, cut pie. Cut through the middle thing here. Yeah, this mycelium is so, and it has that, it's kind of almost glossy because it's got a little bit of, there was some water in the Petri dish. Yeah, just glugging it in. Tons. So this is gonna go crazy. Now I didn't take them out of the fridge for very long ago, so it's gonna be, I'm kind of anticipating probably a day or two for the mycelium even to wake up from their hibernative state. Okay, I'm gonna double check that this thing's off. This thing is freakishly hot. It is always my fear that I will leave it on, but it is off, okay. But I unplug it and the whole shebang. So I am going to again attempt this. The bag got kind of jacked up in the sterilizer. Let's see. Nothing a good seal can't fix. And fixed it is. Excellent. All right, you can see the giant mycelium wedges in there. I will once again break them up in the bag, which I have more and more found to be, you know, it's just less is more. Like so often it's tempting to, you know, but the less I can touch, the less I'm handling things. I say that one. But it's already in the bag now, so it's not. It's a different type of handling. The less, and I don't really have too much of a contamination. Same unless you sell tincture. I have a reishi. Let me show you my reishi. I don't bring it out because I'm not. It's kind of like my my redheaded stepchild here, or whatever. But and oh my gosh, the mycelium on reishi is just hilarious. So this is not the ideal substrate for reishi, okay? So, but I wanted to make, this is what, if I was gonna make tinctures, this is what I would do. So, and if you felt this, it is like a rock. Oh, I got a contamination here. After I was saying everything about, all right, well, that's actually a good discovery. Not too big of a crisis. I'm kind of done out here anyways. So that's tragic though. All right, well, he had been in there for a while. I had kind of been letting him roll. Like I said, the reishi was not, master's mixed substrate is not conducive. So basically the best I was getting would be like a nub, kind of a nub of it. But I'm going to try to get more of like a wood-based substrate for reishi mushrooms. But let me get a marker. I'll mark these bags. So these are lion's mane. Oh my goodness. Yeah, finding that contamination was kind of nerve-wracking, live on the air. What is today's date? The 12th? Yeah, September has really turned into a hell of a month. Hell of a month. Okay, 912. Oh, you got to write lion's mane on there. Oh, ran out of juice right at the end. Oh, good. Oh, and this isn't even, it's not even lion's mane, so maybe that's for the best. I wonder if I'm out of juice or if it's just wet. We'll keep them. I've slowly, over the course of the last year, just collected massive amounts of random things. All right, blue, B for blue. 12 for 12. Excellent. So I got 3 lion's mane, 1 blue oyster mushroom. So I will put these into the incubation chamber. By the time I'm back from my trip, then they will be colonized. I will do a break and shake. 3 days after a break and shake, I will then move the colonized dry grain berries to a master's mix substrate. I'll do a live feed of that. 2 weeks later, they'll be fully colonized. I'll throw them in the tent. By then it'll be October, and then I'm shooting for Halloween first mushroom sale. I don't care if I sell 1. It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. So, yes. Everything's off. I'm gonna bail. Okay? I'm pooped. I'm pooped. I'm on call. I've got some laundry. So, I will see you next time. Like I said, big news. I think the next 6 weeks are going to be pretty epic. And then by the end of the year, you won't even recognize the garage. Oh, my lights are turning off. This is a